Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Great Day Houston. We're coming to you from the Museum of Fine Arts Houston, where you can see all kinds of wonderful works of art from ancient civilizations. You can also see the masters like Picasso and Van Gogh. You can see more modern artists. They just got through wrapping up an exhibition on Frida Kahlo and the artists that she impacted as well. Their latest exhibition is from Ernesto Neto. What's great about this piece is you don't just look at it, instead you experience it because it is immersive.
My name is Ernesto Neto. I'm very glad to be here for the Museum of Fine Arts Houston. We are showing SunForceOceanLife. This piece is all about relationship.
Cindy, I feel like I'm in a tree house somewhere. It took a little something to get up here, but when we talk about this being immersive, this is what we're talking about.
Absolutely, and I like that you mentioned it immediately went to treehouse, because that really is what this is trying to give the sense of, a little bit of being in nature and of being kind of in conversation with other people and with what is surrounding us.
Yeah, tell us about Ernesto Neto.
Ernesto is a Brazilian artist, and he often works with the type of materials that you see here. He was trained in crochet by his grandmother and his family, and so he typically uses this type of material for when he's doing works. He often uses very large scale, as you obviously saw. This is a massive installation, but it's all made out of crochet. And what you see inside, the things that we were stepping on, are plastic balls, the types that you would find in like kids' games. This is a work that he titled SunForceOceanLife, really meaning to encompass that kind of like circularity. And you saw that we were turning kind of into the spiral-like structure. That's really the conception of the work.
It's so nice because whenever you go to a museum of fine art, oftentimes it's like look but don't touch, right? And you learn about things, and it's wonderful to view that kind of art. But to take part in something that's immersive is a little bit different.
Definitely, and I think that's one of the things that we try to do for our summer immersive installations, always encourage the public to participate and to really bring the whole family and come inside or experience really the work that we have to offer. But yes, definitely touch as much as possible in the case of this work.
You are a part of the Latin exhibitions, if you will, and what's so nice about the Museum of Fine Arts Houston as well is that you make an effort to reflect Houston. Art's that international language we talk about. You make an effort to bring art from everywhere.
Yes, I am part of the Latin American and Latino department of the museum. There are many other departments in the museum, and we really, as you said, try to reflect a little bit of the demographics of Houston with the work that we include in our collection, as well as the exhibitions that we organize.
Yeah. What goes into deciding who comes in? We say curated, by the way. It means there's an effort to really look at who the artist is, the impact the artist has had, in the art world and the world in general. What goes into coming up with things, particularly in this area of the museum?
Well, this is one of our more ambitious spaces. Obviously, it has to be a very large-scale work, so we typically represent or include artists that are well-established in their careers, that have a long trajectory of showing in spaces such as museums internationally, and then that it really dialogues with the rest of the work that we have in the museum, that it affects our public in different ways. So we're always trying to do a mix and really reflect on what could be the next best project to show here.
All right, this is immersive, so it takes a little bit to get through this here. So when people come here, what should they expect, or what should they know?
Just to have fun, really. It's a little bit different than stepping on firm ground, obviously. We mentioned that these are plastic balls that we're stepping on, but they're encased in these nets. So the intention is that you just kind of walk in, you find your way through the tunnels. If you want to meet up with friends or with the rest of your family in this central space, you can definitely do that, and then you just exit the work the other way around. It's also really nice to look at from afar. So if you want to take any pictures or anything like that, often the best view will be from down there, right, instead of up here, but really to just encourage participation and conversation while you're in the work.
Okay, not gonna lie, the reason why I like this little space right here, I was like, I just need a chance to breathe a little bit. But it is a little bit of a workout, but it's so cool to walk through here, and you're not only looking at something or walking through something, but there's an emotion that it evokes, and part of it is you're walking along thinking, if I was walking on a high wire, what that would feel like, but you're not going to fall off.
You're not going to fall off. You're completely enclosed by the net structure. So yeah, definitely no fear of falling out. Just gets a little bit of used to with stepping on something that we're completely unfamiliar with.
Yeah,
maybe kids will be more comfortable climbing into
I like
here.
it because it challenges you. It takes you out of a certain
Comfort
space,
zone.
Comfort zone that you're in. All right, let's go talk about some of the other things that the Museum of Fine Arts Houston offers.
Of course.
Cindy, this museum has come such a long way since 1924 when it was one building and 60 pieces of art.
Yes, we've come a long way. We have 3 museum buildings and 80,000 works in the collection, as well as 2 house museums that you can visit that also have their own permanent collections.
Yeah, that's Bayou Bend and Rienzi,
Bayou
right?
Bend and Rienzi.
Yeah, when we talk about these collections, some of them are permanent. We can come see those at just about any time, but others come through, as you mentioned, temporarily. So when you see them listed, come in because they're only there for a certain amount of time before they travel to other museums. For example, the Hulock Passages exhibition right here.
This is the new exhibition. We just opened it a few weeks ago, and it's an incredible work by the Guyanese British artist Hugh Locke. His work deals a lot with the British imperial period and the colonial powers and the colonial struggle and how that has impacted through art. You can see a lot of collage in his work, which is really interesting how he appropriates different materials from different times and cultures.
Yeah, it's interesting how art can teach you history, right? My son actually in college had an assignment in his history class, and they had to find pieces of art that reflected the time period that they were talking about. So the museums are only pretty to look at, they only have pretty things to look at, but they also are great forms of education as well. All right, a lot of times when we think about Museum of Fine Art, we think about the Masters. You have an exhibition going on with that as well.
Yes, let's go there.
Cindy, you look at that piece, and even if somebody is not really familiar with art, they understand that that looks like a Picasso. It is a Picasso, but it's just an example of how it's impacted a whole style of his own.
Absolutely, and you mentioned it before, we have some of these works in our own collection, but this is a special exhibition that we'll have all through September. Masterpieces from the Berggruen collection of Picasso, Matisse, and Klee. So it's really a way of showing that although our museum collection is really rich, we're also trying to show the public what is prized and included in other museum collections internationally.
An artist once said to me, museums, we put a lot of effort into building them to house these works of art. We can't eat it, sleep it, or drink it. Why is it so important?
I think what we've been talking about all along this visit of the museum, right? It really is a way of telling what is important to us as a culture, as a civilization, what are the stories that we keep kind of like telling ourselves on, and really showing those shared interests, as you've been saying all along as well.
And when you look at all these pieces, what you realize is that same imagination that puts together every single art piece, because it is something that comes out of someone's mind, but that same imagination is what also created things like a TV, a telephone, an airplane, and at the same time that a lot of the art binds us together as humans, it also celebrates our differences in how we perceive art.
I couldn't agree more, and I also think it talks about our curiosity, right? To reach out, to understand one another, and to really try to make something out of that.
So some of those ancient civilizations that we talked about, is there one where they actually had spacecraft drawn on the wall?
Not spacecraft that I know of, but definitely the showing of people getting together, right? Of people needing one another to survive.
Yeah. Oh no, I think I saw one. No, I think it was a spaceship. I think it was. I think it was. I think we know that.
You'll have to show me that one.
I think we've been visited once before. Cindy, thank you very much for sharing this with us.
Thank you for visiting.
The immersive exhibition by Brazilian artist Ernesto Neto, SunForceOceanLife, is on display at the Museum of Fine Arts Houston now through September 7th. For more information or to plan your visit, go to mfah.org or follow them on social media at MFA Houston. It's a great air-conditioned way to spend some great positive time by yourself or with friends and family.